What it do? What's up, Vigos Court? It's your boy Q. I am your host. I'm Judge Q. And I've got my friend over here, Counselor Stoney, the Mad Hatter of Twitch. How you feeling today, homie?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing, dude? It's good to see you again. Looking forward to tonight. How are you?
Oh, I live in the dream. It's Friday night. We get to kick off Friday night with some competitive DBD, and we got two awesome teams here. Really good matchup. We have got Immortal Alliance. We have got Corrupt here as well. This is going to be a very fun matchup. Corrupt had a very good performance during the course as far as the preseason that we've seen thus far. I do believe we're going to see some things turning around. I think as far as Immortal Alliance, they've taken some things home, had some things to practice on. Going to be interested to see what they do both on the killer and survivor side at this point, knowing it is the last week for preseason 2. But you excited for tonight? I just need to know. I pumped?
I'm excited for tonight.
Okay.
You know, honestly, you're sitting there talking up another team, but I'm telling you, that Alliance has got something to show you tonight, man. I feel it. It's their night. It's their night. It's Friday. Magic's in the air. Let's see what happens.
I like it. And while we are talking about our matchup here, where we are going to be playing, we are in the Blood Lodge. It is the Auto Haven Wreckers realm. It's 168 square tiles, 10,752 square meters. What does that mean? Well, it means there's 8 hook minimum, 13 hook maximum. Blood Lodge is one of those maps, of course. It does have, it's kind of like that more oblong rectangle, and it's got a couple of tricky areas, right? Of course, most maps have shack. The Blood Lodge area can be tricky, but you do have Fun Bus, and Fun Bus can be a little tricky to run around. Otherwise, though, the middle is a lot of filler pallets that can probably get taken out pretty quickly, I would say. So I feel like a lot of killers are probably on the table here. It'll probably be in the season, one of those maps where I think, depending on any given night, you could see any killers. So it's probably going to be like that here tonight. I would imagine one that might help, especially since the more of like the oblong shape with the rectangle, maybe like a Blight who can kind of get from one end to the other, put pressure, and then also still be able to deplete some of those pallets, even using their power versus just having to simply break them. So it's kind of kills 2 birds with one stone, so to say. So, know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. And while you were in the middle of that, we apparently, Vigo's Court got a 12-month resub. So thank you very much.
Ooh, Lil Rugard. Let's go. Appreciate you, homie. Love it,
I didn't want to cut you off because you had such a pretty speech.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Seemed like it was pretty well rehearsed.
I was feeling good. I wanted to let
it go.
Now, I think today, I don't want to make it seem like I am saying that the favorite is Corrupt, because I'm not saying that by any stretch of the means, but I do think that Corrupt has shown us that they're a team that will have potential throughout this season, and their survivor side is going to really put pressure on the killers here. Their Corrupt has 3 survivors who I've actually known personally for quite a bit. We recorded our Ash to Iridescent series. They were part of the Runaways, the Burkhan, Chungus, and Zaf. Their communication it's like they don't even need to talk. They're literally able to rotate throughout that heavy, and I'll be interested to see what our killer comes, knowing that they're going against a team that's like that well communicated together.
Cute, your fanboy is showing.
Nah.
Like, listen, at the end of this, do you want me to hold you when you take this week? Are you gonna be okay? Are we gonna make it through the night? Look at me. Are you okay?
We'll be fine. No, I do think Immortal Alliance, we've seen they've had some relatively good performances. I think the one thing I'm interested to see is the killer that they opt to come with, knowing the experience though of our survivors, because we've seen some teams right during the preseason, they'll come out with they will come out with the S tier, but we've seen some of those B tier killers coming out. But I feel like if you're going against a Corrupt, this is where you're like, you know what, let me make sure I'm sharpening my best tools to the best of their ability before the season, right? So why not bring out my 2 best killers against one of the best survivor teams?
Well, there is such a thing as, not showing all your cards until you absolutely need to. So I'm really, the way you're hyping this up, I'm really kind of hoping that, we got some stiff competition here, because I know you, and, when you vouch for somebody, there's definitely a good team involved. So very, very, very interested in seeing what's going to happen here. Last night we had two teams that put out a very, very great show, and they went back and forth. You hit us with a killer, we hit you with the same exact killer. So maybe we'll get a repeat out of that. I'm still waiting on that Huntress match, but we'll see what happens.
Well, so that, you bring up the Huntress, and this would be, a map where I wouldn't be surprised to see a Huntress come out. Of course, in the middle of most of the Auto Haven realm, right? When you're not talking about the actual tiles, you're talking about a lot of like kind of lower like tile looping, kind of you're talking about in Temple Purgation, where the Huntress can work around those.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and especially with Blood Lodge. And the reason that again having a ranged or high mobility killer is going to be crucial is, as you said, the square footage on this map is insane. So in order to create that map pressure, you got to be able to get around the map. So I'm really kind of interested to see what kind of killer that we're going to be looking at here, and very ready to get it going.
Yeah, and I think the big thing here, right, when you talk about with the pressure that you had to put out, I'm interested to see what our killers opt for, because sometimes you're like, you know what, let me bring in a Ruin and Undying and give myself a little bit of extra help on the gens. But Auto Haven is one of those realms where the totems are kind of notoriously out in the middle of the open, right? So you're not really giving yourself much protection there.
Personally, I'm kind of hoping to see some Thanat and some Sloppy Butchers just to mix up the meta just a little bit, because it's kind of something that wouldn't be expected, you know what I mean?
Yeah, especially when we talk about moving from, if we see like some of our meta killers come out, right? If we see, let's say a Blight or a Nurse, maybe that's where we do see a Thana, Pop, Sloppy kind of come out with, of course, the Corrupt intervention, because that Corrupt is something that you are typically going to see. I always feel like every time I get too comfortable saying every game, that's exactly when a team doesn't bring it. But for the most part, that's going to be what we see there. And I am going to turn you up just a little bit here. Looks like we got some people saying they're struggling to hear you. I'm going to turn you up just a tad.
Sorry, boys. I'll talk a little bit louder if that make it feel better. Sorry.
Can you hear them in the back?
Can you hear me now? For those of y'all in the back in the bleachers, can you hear me now? Just when we thought we had everything together, Q, now it's my night. Last night was your night, now it's my night.
You know what? This is the preseason, right? This is where we work out the kinks and kind of get everything going. So,
yeah, exactly.
Now, one thing I will say, as far as the important thing I think for our killer coming out here on both sides, with it being, you talked about that bigger map, is you got to make sure that you're kind of identifying off rip. You've got to take one quadrant of the map and just know that you're not going there, right? Kind of identify your 3, 4, maybe if you're lucky, 5 gen if you're kind of lucky on your RNG, right? And if you can, you try and, if possible, avoid that being around Fun Bus as well.
A little bit, but we just found out that our survivors are ready, so let's get into it. Enough pregame.
I love it.
Let's get it. Really, really excited to see what Alliance is going to do with their first killer. I'm so excited for this.
Yeah, I think the first one's going to be interesting. What do you want to see? Like, up more than anything?
What I want to see is, I want to see smart, consistent chases. I want to see quick downs. This is a tournament. This is for all the jewels. Yes, it's preseason, but this isn't the time to just come in and give your B effort. Let's go for the jump. I want to see a lot of hooks immediately. And also on the flip side, for the survivor side, even though we got that little bit there, but just some good loops. Let's see what these survivors are actually made of. Can we see possibly a setup for a pallet save? Anybody got a flashlight in there? Let's see. Can we take advantage of a killer's mistake? And is the killer going to give us a mistake at all, or is this just going to be a smooth game for them? That to me is what I want to see. I want to see high intensity, high octane gameplay from the jump. Bodies on the floor, bodies on hooks, entity getting called, and just some smart gameplay and map control from some of these killers.
Oh, you know what? I am noticing there. It looks like there is. Okay, no, I think we're good.
We good? We good? Party foul.
I'm trying to say, someone was saying that we had a sixth player in here.
Oh?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out.
Well, is there anything, while you're thinking about that, is there anything that you're excited to see that you want to see out of these teams?
I think the big thing I'm really interested in, I would really like to see, and also if we can have someone in the back, maybe see why I've got a sixth person in my lobby, possibly. Appreciate you, Vigo's Court. I think the big thing that I'm looking for here is seeing which of the S tier killers you're wanting to kind of get your last polishing on, right? Because we've seen a little mixture of both the Nurse and the Blight both
The
coming
Blight.
out. And
Mhm.
I feel like this is a map that really either could definitely be good on you don't have like the bigger loops other than Fun Bus, whereas like on Temple of Purgation, I definitely felt like the Nurse was the better suit for it, right?
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
but I think here you got a lot of
Absolutely.
options, so I'm just gonna be really interested to see really as far as like the high mobility what we got.
Oh, absolutely. And, just really kind of looking forward to see, again, my big stickler is map pressure, map pressure, map pressure, map pressure, because that wins gens. And, are these killers going to be able to set up for a 3-gen? The survivors last night, they did a really, really good job of any time that they knew that they were about to go down running into a certain area where the killer, once they got that down and after they got that hook, they'd be pretty ineffective. So are we going to see a replication of that same kind of tactic? Are our killers going to fall for that? Are they going to be able to outmove those survivors? And the big thing is waiting out that dead hard and just how much ground are you going to give before you actually swing. So that to me is going to kind of be the mix up, and especially with Blood Lodge, like big map, survivors got a lot of room, you got to be quick.
While we're loading in here, let's talk about how our killer is going to be focusing on getting those points for their team here. First and second hook are going to be 2 points each. Once you do get to that third hook, however, that is going to be a third point for that third hook on a particular killer, so that our particular survivor, meaning that last hook is the most important. If you happen to have any progressions while on the hook, though, each progression is worth 1 less point. If you happen to get to a 7th and an 8th progression, they are worth 1 point each. So you're going to get those points basically back on the 7th and 8th progression. If you are going to get a 4K over the course of the trial, you're going to get yourself a 2-point bonus there. And then just a couple of things to keep in mind, all right? When we talk about our entity kills, you are going to get the corresponding hooks plus the progressions. However, if there is a bleed out, that equals 0 points. There are 30 points in total available for the killer. If you have any other questions or anything like that, don't ask me, ask your mama, or use exclamation point rules in chat. We are here in the Auto Haven realm, and it looks like we have got us a pyramid head.
We have a pyramid head who is immediately, and we do have an active totem on the field. So we do have corrupt intervention, and we've already seen as you were scanning through that there are survivors that are on the gen. We did see some sparks fly as they were testing whether or not we did have ruin. So ruin is confirmed. So we do have corrupt intervention, which is a very smart play on this killer to be able to break up and immediately deny 3 gens on this very, very big map. Now, interesting choice going with pyramid head once again, and that kind of makes me happy to see because once again that's map pressure. And here we do have our first survivor, and we're going straight to Shack. And do we get a hit here? We do not actually get a hit here.
Yeah, this first one's going to be kind of important. Interesting to see the confidence from Techno Badger here, going for the shot through the 2 walls there, even without already having an injured state. Now you're seeing, again, pushing players off of gens. We're seeing those sparks fly. So we do indeed still have our ruin up on the board here. And you really want to make sure that you can get a couple downs while the ruin stays up, knowing that you aren't going to have it long, more than likely.
And we do already have 1 gen completed without a single actual damage state here. And is he actually going to shoot? He does not. But he still manages to get a hit and a tormented status on his obsession here. So this is really actually kind of huge. Now, I'm going to be curious to see as to whether or not he does go for the cage. And the one thing that I'm noticing that they're doing a really, really good job of not throwing these pallets and making sure that they're saving themselves something to work with here. She doubles back, goes down, and truth or tell, what are we going to do? We're going to go for the hook. I'm going to immediately go for the hook. And is gonna have a safe hook. Corrupt is still up, but there goes 1 totem, and we're gonna find out very quickly whether or not that was ruined. So, and it looked like another survivor was already positioning themselves for an unhook here. He's looking for him, seeing if they moved off, and my man turned around and opening this up. Now, would you open this up on this map? Would you kick down that door?
Yeah, I think it opens up the loop a little bit there, especially because the 2-story can give you a lot of problems. It allows you to be able to break down the loop a little bit more, especially because this is the side of the map that the corrupt intervention was on. So you can imagine that the 3 gens on this side don't have very much progress, but you definitely want to get back to that middle gen because that thing was very far along. Nice down there, though, through the window.
Very nice down, and he did a really good job of actually hiding his red stain and keeping it different. Here we see the cage, so she's going to go over to the opposite side of the map of where he is, and there we have our second gen. Took a little bit for that second gen. We did have a little bit of altruism on the play. They really did want to make sure that Michaela got out of there fast, and he did a really good job of hiding his red stain and making sure that they didn't know where he was going to come out from, resulting in a very quick down at the LT wall. And it looks as if, was that a totem that went, or was that a missed skill check?
I think we had a it was a missed skill check across the way, but one thing to keep in mind, we have actually seen 2 totems down, and at this point we've seen survivors getting off of gens and not seeing sparks, so both Ruin and Undying have been removed from this trial.
Oh yeah, all right, and he's choosing actually to stay on the same survivor. Dwight doing a really good job of being a distraction, gets the pallets done, and somehow or another, Pyramid had to actually miss that shot on the Dwight that was right in his face. You know, sad about it, but here we go. Once again, he's focusing very, very heavy on his obsession. So I'm kind of wondering, so we've already established that we do have 3 perks that we've identified. So is there an obsession perk? Is there a reason to go specifically for this survivor? Or maybe that was the strategy, was just immediately get a kill as fast as possible, give himself more of a chance, because once again, this is a very big map.
Yeah, I think the big thing was getting since you had the down on this side of the map while you had the corrupt up, you've been able to get somebody removed. And well, I was gonna say you still have a 3-gen, but in natural caster's curse order, that 3-gen did just get broken up here. But keep in mind, we are now at the 3v1. That does also mean you've taken those 6 points for that 4th escape.
Very, very, very good shot. Very good shot with that, leading the David very well. They've done an absolute great job of making sure that they did not wind up in a 3-gen situation. And the way that he's playing, well, yes, you mentioned denying points. It seems as if this Pyramid Head was really counting on that 3-gen situation here. And David doing a fantastic job of making sure that he doesn't get hit. And once again, this Dwight is being very aggressive, doing an absolute he's kind of like the guardian angel of this team, and now we see finally that Pyramid Head's going to give him some attention here, and hopefully, possibly get this down here. Come on, Alliance, I'm rooting for you.
Yeah,
and down goes the Dwight.
The only bad news is you'll see when you look around, I've been away from the last couple of gens. Yeah, there's the 4th, 5th gen getting across the way. You did get yourself a fresh hook, and you can protect that here, and you're kind of close. You've got the hill here, so you can oversee at least one of the doors. But I think it's important that you make sure that you can secure yourself at least the 2nd elimination, knowing that you're taking those points away from the survivors.
Absolutely, and okay, and then I'm just getting told that we're having a little bit of a scorecard issue, and apparently our score right now is 9-9. So apologies to everybody in chat that's seeing 0-0. We do have 9-9. It is an even score game currently, and this Nia is doing the one thing that I was hoping that this killer would actually avoid, which is keeping him busy on the opposite side of the map. He has no way to defend his actual kill, and as we've seen, there was still David. We did see some scratch marks over at the Blood Lodge, part of Blood Lodge, and down she goes.
And that's a one-shot down, which means we can now talk about it. We saw the haste status, but now the survivors know that we have a NOED in play here. Going to be interested to see if our survivors decide to try and find the NOED or take the 2 out. There's the door opening, though. I would imagine they'll just take the 2 out.
Opening. Very, 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 he played that kind of cautiously. If this were a pub match, hooking a survivor right next to your active totem is never really a great idea, but he does secure himself a nice 2-piece here. Unfortunately, no biscuit, but great job by this Pyramid Head. Big map.
Yeah, and we see there, so that's going to be it's 5 hooks plus the 2 progressions. So definitely a strong performance as far as from a Pyramid Head when we talk about as far as kind of in that comp setting, being able to get 7 states all together, 2 of those being off of the progressions here. While we have a second, though, I want to see if maybe here I can see if let me do a
Well, while we're doing that, I'm getting told to actually take us to the "we'll be right back" scene while we're figuring out that scorecard here. So, Q, I guess we can have that conversation. But flip scenes here,
give me a second here, chat. We're gonna go. Be right back. Let me do a little quick troubleshoot and see if I can figure out a scorecard, and then we'll be right back to kind of talk about that first trial.
Oh yeah.
All right, chat, and we are back. Oop, let me make sure we've got this back, because there's Stony. Hi, Stony.
Now I'm back.
Let me do a quick refresh here, see if we can get a scorecard thing. Also, though, chat, I did want to give everybody an update. We did also notice while we were in the post-game lobby that Corrupt here did bring two. They did happen to bring two dead hards, which is going to be a 5-point penalty and the potential and an offer to have a restart. So we're going to see going on in the background if that fixes it. However, here I am noticing after adjusting that scorecard that I'm still getting the yeah, it's still showing 0-0. So maybe we can just have Stony Boy keeping us updated in between games on the score here, since he can get that information live through his ear.
I got you.
But we did have the two dead hards there, and that's really unfortunate because, you know, we normally see, and we'll talk about it going into one of our matches here in the future, kind of what normally like the rules are, but so people know you're supposed to have unique perks, right? You can only have 2 borrowed time. By having the 2 dead hards, again, they are going to take that 5-point penalty, but that's tough to see. I mean, obviously it's preseason, right? So the penalty doesn't hurt as bad, but something simple like that, we saw yesterday the matchup was a 2-3 point difference at the end.
You know, you took the words right out of my mouth. You know, I was actually going to mention that is the fact that, you know, they did have an opportunity last night. The two teams, we had the same kind of instance, and they chose not to take the rematch, which in my opinion, kind of cost them the match stats last night, because the point deficit after that token match afterwards, it just kind of concreted the fate of the team yesterday that had the party foul. And, you know, it's a sad circumstance. Unfortunately, it's a breakdown in communication, and it's just one of those things. If you're a team captain, that you got to go through with a fine-tooth comb. You know, you can't allow that, because you just had an absolute fantastic match as a survivor. You got two deaths, 2 outs, but you did a great job. You know, you managed to get all 5 gens done. You played the match absolutely perfect. You took out Ruin. You know, you got points up on the board, and you did well for your team. Now, and we're getting told that there will not be a replay on the field whatsoever. So now you got to go in, and you're already down 5 points. So, you know, now the pressure's in.
Yeah, going to be interesting.
So
here.
Excuse me, Q. I'm sorry.
No,
so
give us a score.
Our official score is 14-9, going with IA in the lead. So Alliance. So once again, good job to that Pyramid Head for concreting a very good, substantial lead going in and straight out of the gate.
Yeah, they did a very good job. You know, you talked about it while we were actually in the game, doing a good job of being able to remove the first survivor very early. You were able to get yourself a unique hook on a different survivor other than the survivor that you removed at the end game there, right? Which means that's more points that you've accrued as far as hook statuses, which was good. It would have been nice to make sure that you didn't have 3 here. Now, I do have a question, though, because they said that we aren't going to get a replay, but I do see our survivors here all readying up while we still have them in play. So we'll just get a confirmation from that in the back here. But definitely a good start for you if you're Immortal Alliance. You talked about you came out not with like a meta killer, and you still secured yourself a very strong performance. It would have been 15-14, but even that would have been a good like comp performance for a Pyramid Head, right?
Right, and as you mentioned, you know, we are switching up our teams here as is proper and as is tradition. We're moving on with the show here, but they're doing a really, really good job so far being able to keep that map pressure and keep a focus on the survivor that they're indeed targeting. Personally, I thought that he was immediately going to go for a chop rather than a hook, just to speed up that removing of his obsession as fast as possible, and being able to, really, really get that 3v1 situation, because as we all know, playing Dead by Daylight, once you're in a 3v1 situation, the game immediately changes, because as soon as you get someone else off the hook, that's another survivor that has to go towards that hook, and it puts the game more so into the killer's hands. So, great start, great effort from the beginning, and we'd like to see more of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and so now definitely going to be feeling the pressure if you are Corrupt here, right? Having the 5-point differential. I just
want to say, you did say that they were going to take this, so maybe they were just setting up for a dramatic, return here, so Q, your boys, they're setting up for the drama. They like it. I like it.
Yeah, and now I'm going to be interested. I know that Vercon we saw in, I think it was preseason 1, brought out a doctor, and then I can't remember if he ran the second killer, if he was the one who ran the second killer, if they had somebody else run the second, but they didn't bring Meta Killer out. So I'll be interested to see here, knowing that Vercon does have a good Nurse and Blight both in his back pocket, but also has really a very diverse killer pool. So maybe this might be that point where Vercon maybe doesn't show his strongest killers. You're talking about don't show your best cards first. Maybe bring out something that you want to get a little bit of extra polishing on, while not bringing in like a Clown and 4King and let people know that they got to look out for that, right?
Well, that's a very good point that you bring, but also you got to think about the fact that you're down. Your team, while you did a great job and you had a tie game up until the point, you're down. You're down 5 points in this, and you gotta come out swinging. If I'm this killer, I'm bringing out my best guns, and I'm making sure absolutely that I get this 4K and the most points for my team. So I think caution and being able to, not have that ace in the hole. Now this is what that ace in the hole is actually intended for: is get your team out of deficit and get ahead, put the other team back on their heels, make them play well, and the way that the tournament goes, you got 2 rounds to do this for this team here. So hopefully they can actually show up, and the pressure is on the survivors now. And we talked about yesterday, when you first come out and you put points on the board and you get ahead, you got to keep that gas up. You cannot drop the momentum. You had a misstep, okay. There's a lot of pressure on these team captains right now to make sure that morale's not dipping and that you're staying focused on what you got to do, because the job's not done. You still got to go to work.
Yeah, and so it does. So just want to make sure we got a correction, or make sure we have that correct. It's 14-9 on the score, correct?
14-9, I do believe, is what I was told. Yes.
Okay, so the interesting thing here is going to be,
Yes.
knowing that we saw last round, right? We saw the 7 states all together. 2 of them were progressions there in the end game, of course. And knowing how important the last 2 escapes are as far as points for the survivor. I can't help but wonder if maybe this is where in trial 2, at least, you see, instead of the more aggressive, whether it be a Thana sloppy pop or a Ruin Undying sort of situation, maybe this is where you more go for the I'm going to secure myself an elimination in the first part of the trial, kind of like we saw. And maybe this is where we see that no ed, no way out sort of combo in the end. See if you can secure yourself an extra elimination or 2 in the end game.
To be honest, I thought that's how the first match was go, because we targeted the obsession fast. So I was like, I kind of was thinking to myself, he might just be using Remember Me. So we might see more of the, yes, we have the Ruin Undying, obviously, to delay the game, but we might see the Remember Me, the No Way Out, the No Ed. This would be a very good time to have an end game build, because if we're not seeing many killers that are having a problem getting a kill. The problem is getting 4. So, this might be the option where you do see the No Way Out build. You do see the Remember Me, you do see possible Blood Warden, you never know. So it'd be very interesting to see. There's a lot of pressure on this killer right now that they definitely do need to perform. And at the same time, the survivors have to do the one crucial job of making sure that the killer is not in control in this match. And we've all been in those matches before where it just seems like no matter what you do as a killer, you just can't get ahead. So, this is really what those survivors need to do. And so this killer needs to do a very good job of immediately targeting someone, getting them down, getting them out, rotating to the next one. And I'm waiting to see a killer that will actually do one strat that I know and love, which is piggyback 2 survivors, the one that goes for the unhook and then go for it. And then that other person's still hurt, go get them back down. That other person got off the hook, go get them back down. And then you suddenly have a 2v1 as opposed to having a 3v1 situation when you get that first kill.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't know. I keep going back and forth on this, right? Because you're down. You mentioned it. You're down here and you would like to come out with a heavy foot. But really, when you're talking about only a 4-point deficit or 5-point deficit, sorry. I mean, really removing the 2 right away, it makes it where you're going to be able to basically dig into that lead a little bit more. And maybe you don't go for the home run right away here, right? Because you can come in with your beat with a different kill, maybe not your home run kill. You bring in like the 3 wood. It's still a long range hitter, right? But
I think you still want to make sure that you get the home run. You're just not looking for the RBI.
yeah,
You
exactly.
get the home run. You're just not looking to bring everybody home on the plate.
So one thing though I do want to talk about is here for our survivors. They kind of have, knowing that they have the lead, right? We saw it kind of last time. I felt like maybe we had a couple of downs that happened from greeting pallets. You had kind of mentioned it a couple times there in the middle. We had seen some extra hits. This is where you get the chance to make sure that you are playing it patient and prolonging out those chases, because we saw it turn to a 3v1 relatively quick last trial, right?
I'm getting told to take the killer's perspective here. It seems like we're getting ready in our last little bit of preparations. But you're absolutely right. It's kind of one of those situations where, you have that lead a little bit, you have all the cards, you have the deck in your hand, and it's up to you on whether or not you're going to deal, your royal flush, or whether you're going to deal your full house. But the one thing that you can't do is say, well, we don't want to go out as competitive as possible because we don't want to show everything, but so we're just going to bring this guy, and then you wind up actually where the survivors do a better job than your killer does. So you definitely got to, I honestly, personally, I would, if I was that team captain, I'd be finding out who my best spirit main was. I'll tell you that one.
Well, I mean, don't forget though, of course, with Spirit's change here recently, I do feel like across the board, not even just in Egos, but we've kind of seen since the change, when DBD Leagues, Halloween Tournament, and DBE, even though teams have kind of taken a little time to figure her out, I feel like she's still like top 3, but I feel like she's kind of been moved down to like maybe now below the Blight. So I feel like right now you're kind of looking at, where's my Nurse or Blight at? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Well, absolutely. Well, of course, you know me, variety is the spice of life. So I feel if you're not going to go out with your powerhouse, which I would personally put as, your Nurse or as your Blight, especially with this giant map, having a killer that, you could really see what your opponents are good at with the mind game. Now, yes, obviously Spirit did get changed. She does have the directional phasing. You are able to see the dust that is going up in the middle of her face. However, she's able to traverse the map. And she's able to, instead of take the regular physics of, well, we do 3 loops around this, we drop the pallet, I break the pallet, we do another 3 loops, boom, I got it down. She's able to immediately get into the survivor's head. So now it's a test to put more pressure onto the survivors, because you can't see this killer coming, then all of a sudden she's there. So personally, that's why I say I would go with a Spirit, because I want to see what these survivors are made of. I don't want to give these survivors an easy game. I want these survivors to be on their toes 100% of the time. And unfortunately, Myers just doesn't do the trick. So
right, yeah, no. Although Myers could be fun, right? If only had built in maybe like Tombstone. No,
a little tough of hair there for you, baby.
Right, yeah, just automatic clean it. You don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah. Just grab them and stab them and be all right. We'll move on.
But do keep in mind here, we are in preseason. I always want to make sure that we're bringing that up here, because I feel like we're talking, yes, on a regular season game, you're down 5 points. If you have, some S tier available, if you haven't had them exhausted yet, if you haven't used them twice, maybe you think about bringing them out here. But knowing that this is the last week that you have to kind of get some like live round on maybe another killer that you're trying to figure out where they land, knowing that you have to use multiple killers over the regular season here, right? And while we're loading in, let's actually talk about how our survivors team here is going to be able to work on putting those points up on the board, because we did talk about the killer last round. But as far as for our survivors here, the first and second gen getting completed, they're going to be worth 1 point apiece. The third and fourth gen, they're going to be 2 points apiece. The fifth gen is 3 points. Now, a couple other ways that you collect yourself some points as the survivor squad, of course, because you don't just get those generators. The first escape is going to be worth 1 point. The second escape itself is going to be worth 2 points. Now, if you happen to get more than 2 people out, you're going to get a little bit more of a bonus. The third escape is 4 points, and the fourth escape is 6 points. If you escape with 2 or more, you get an additional 2, or if you escape with more than 2 hooks, less than 2 hooks, you get 1 additional point per hook state that you have still left on the board. So you have a total of 26 points that are available for the survivor squad, okay? Now, keep in mind, if you have any questions regarding those survivor rules, Don't ask me because I just talked about him. Ask your mama or use exclamation point rules in chat. But we do see
We
Vercon
see a
coming out with the
nurse.
nurse.
With a nurse. So we're going for the RBI here and immediately seeing a survivor at Shack. Now, what are you hoping to see out of this nurse during this game?
I think the big thing is seeing how quick you can get your downs because you know that as a nurse you're going to be looking at trying to make sure you're spreading out your pressure. But if you can start the snowball of I need somebody off of a gen to come get the person that's on a hook while also running from the killer, that makes the process of getting gens done a lot slower. And you see two very quick hits, and that's a down already.
That's already a down, and that is great timing for this nurse. Absolute right play here by finding one survivor. And if you saw while you were talking there, while they were on top of the hill, they actually had their pick, and that's the one thing that nurse can do with this game. And we do see some sparks fly as the survivor gets off of the gen. And nobody going for the unhook yet. So we do have ruin, we do have corrupt intervention, we do have some ruin as well, and we're flying through trying to predict where this survivor is actually going to be and making the smart play of double checking, constantly double checking on whether or not that hook rescue is going, and not so much to make sure that you get another state here, right? The intention isn't to camp your hook. The intention is to do exactly what Vercon is about to be able to do, which is deny the unhook, and does a really great job of not going and flying through, because that's a mistake that a lot of people make on nurse, is not looking down when you are overcharged. And if you look straight, you're gonna go way past where it is that you're trying here. And the
Mm.
Meg being very brave, going straight for this unhook, and pays the price for it. But we do have an exchange here, and Nia's off to the races. Unfortunately, Nia, you're playing against a nurse who is saving for a double charge. So now we do have one hook, and one gen has already gone off, and Nia's immediately down. No dead hard to be seen.
Yeah, interesting strategy here. You saw could have taken the 1-for-1, but luckily you don't have a D strike here. So now you're going to get hook number 2 on a Techno Badger. We did see another survivor off in the distance look like they were setting up for the 2-person save. So kind of surprised to see this slug not getting picked up off of the ground here.
Absolutely.
But we do see they're in a pallet space. So maybe Vercon's just going to leave this slug, keep the pressure, because basically you have a hook and a slug in the middle of the 4-gen setup.
And that's one thing that you have to be so cautious of when you're playing killer, is making sure that there's no one around for that pallet save. And it looks like he's trying to absolutely guarantee that Nia's taken out of the game very early, and he's in a very good position to make sure that this is a 3v1, has someone on the ground, and that was either a save or an unbreakable. Let's see what happens here. And
I would imagine with it coming in that late, it was probably a pickup. Otherwise, the Unbreakable would have came in quicker.
Definitely. Now we do have a little bit of a distraction, and the ace is doing a good job of letting this nurse know, hey, I'm here. Please come chase me, and get away from my friend on the hook. And it looks as if, yep, that hook's already confirmed. Nia, thanks for showing up. Your time here was short, but we appreciate you. And now we're after this ace who made himself a little bit of a target. Very kind of like concerning gameplay. This is kind of risky gameplay, not going back and prioritizing that Meg for the one hit and immediately getting a fresh hook. So that Meg does have a chance to heal and get back onto a gen. Now we haven't seen Claudette this entire time, and we're spending a lot of time traversing from center of the map over into a corner of the map when we don't have corrupt intervention anymore. So we could definitely see a couple more. And just as I was saying it, there is another gen here, and the Meg being very brave, saying, come and get me, and the nurse replies. And that's another hook.
Yeah, I think the Meg was hoping that Vercon was going to opt for the blink instead of just moving at the 3.6 speed, knowing that the flashlight might prevent that. But instead, it is a down, and we noticed there, while we had pushed the Meg off of the gen, we do still have Ruin in play, which is kind of a tough situation for our survivors because you're pushing them off this gen that's almost complete, but it's going to be regressing at 200%.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You have to prioritize this. And here we are. We do see the Claudette. Now this is going to be huge if we can get this Claudette down fast. Now she does have the safety, the relative safety, I should say, of the school bus, but chooses not to go for it and immediately goes down, pays the price. She's eating some dirt and is about to. That is the first hook for this killer, in a great position here to absolutely show out and play. The survivors are in a big trouble, and as you mentioned, Ruin's still up, so every gen that they're getting pushed off of is definitely regressing very quickly.
And so now the question is, if Andreas over here does not get healed in the next couple of seconds, it wouldn't have been a chance of a second, what used to be second win, now second chance, meaning that that was a deliverance play, and they're going to be broken for quite a bit here. So this is going to actually be kind of big coming over here. And now applying an injured status to Ace, too. Everyone's now one shot.
Oh yeah, everybody's one shot, and this is where Nurse absolutely shines. So we're going straight for the Claudette, gonna put her right back on the down. We did not say that she was allowed to get off of the hook, and sorry, as I was waiting to see whether or not we were going to have to drop that survivor, but we're going right back onto the hook. That's a second state for the Claudette. Now, Ace is hurt, Meg is hurt. This quite literally could be a two-swing game here for this nurse here. Absolutely great job by Vercon. And there's something about a nurse when you get beaten by a really good nurse, it just seems like it's a different kind of match. You know what I mean? Like something about a really good nurse that you just have to respect, because nurse is absolutely the hardest killer, but she is so good. And when we're seeing a classic example of what a good nurse can do.
Yeah, I think you mentioned the biggest thing is with the power of the nurse, right? Well, you have the ability to, one, you can shut down chases blinking through walls. You don't have to worry about pallets, and you can traverse the map so quick. And we've seen Vercon being able to get somebody on a hook and immediately enter a chase with at least one or two survivors right after that, and kind of continuing that snowball.
And he's doing an absolutely great job of saving his blinks. He knows exactly when one blink will do it and exactly when he's going to need two. And that's the one thing that we've seen a lot with nurse players is that, you want to blink, you want to blink, want to blink, want to blink, obviously, because you're trying to get past that 3.6 movement speed, which just destroys nurse. But, he's doing a really, really good job of making sure that every time that he is in an engagement, he has the correct amount of blinks. And we're having a little bit of a trouble finding these survivors. So we're giving these survivors a little bit of time. So it goes right back to the gen, and they are booking it. These survivors desperately need to find where this ruin is. And not only that, they need to have the time to work on it. And we do see this, if we get Claudette down here, this is going to be an immediate kill. So very wise decision on being able to focus on the Claudette here. That's an easy hit. Very, very, very successful hit right there. And this is a couple times that these survivors have gone to this school bus, but it doesn't seem like they use it. They don't capitalize it, and it is one of the strongest loop areas, at least while that pallet is still up. And over into a corner, very smart tactic. Get that nurse over there, but unfortunately, nurse can cross this map in just a matter of seconds anyway. But very, very smart idea. Get her away from the area where she can do a lot of damage.
Wait. Are you saying that she can get across the map in the blink of an eye? Ayo! But that is going to be an elimination right there. It is now down to a 2v1. Interesting, though. Now the important thing is, who do you locate? Because we see some scratch marks. You have an injured survivor, but I believe it is the Ace over here. So you can't help but wonder if maybe the Meg is on a gen that's getting close to being complete.
And what a good job with Ace there, noticing that the blink was charged up, immediately doing a 360 and cutting across, trying to make this pallet work for him. He's in a corner, and he's doing a really, really great job. But and that's a big miss. That is a big miss, and unfortunate with Nurse, because that is a long stun duration. Now officially let this Ace get to another side of the map here. And this Meg, I really got to commend this Meg. This Meg's been hurt for over half this match, and this Nurse can't find her. She's doing a really good job of prioritizing some gens, but it looks like now, as if on command, the nurse is on the hunt for a Meg.
Yeah, and this is where you're in a tough situation if you're the survivors of Immortal Alliance, right? Because the ruin's still up. Normally, you would be able to go to one of these dead zones that you've created and go for a reset. But if you go for a reset, that's time that the gens are now regressing because the ruin is still up. And that's 16 seconds. That's almost a full piston of regression.
Oh, absolutely. And that was a very short hunt for that Megan as she went down quite literally in the open. So it's almost as if, she saw her coming and just tried to get over to where Ruin was and work that jungle gym a little bit, try to create a little bit more separation, possibly to give Ace a little bit more time on the gen. But their big thing, Ruin, honestly, is the real killer here, and quite a different decision to slug and leave rather than making sure that we're putting Meg on what would be the second stage for Megan, I do believe. So we're looking for Ace now, trying to confirm a 4K, and very, very, very good, very great performance by this nurse here. It was an absolute dominating match.
Yeah, I think your idea there was to go back, go up to the Pride Rock and see if you can give yourself a little bit of information here. Like you said, you know that this would be the Megan's. It's only the second hook. Keep in mind, Megan was on the ground quite a bit in the beginning of the trial and then got picked up before they were even put up on the hook the first time, right? So
Right?
this is going to be a second hook. Does mean there's a little bit of a time until the hatch comes into play, but you definitely want to make sure that you're getting the ace down before the elimination comes across. That way you don't have to worry about a hatch escape.
Exactly. Well, thankfully it's a nurse and she can blink across the map and get across there in
Oh,
the
she's
blink of an
death
eye.
hook.
So, oh, she was Death Hook. She was Death Hook. Guys, we got one job and we can't keep track of hooks. But so we're looking for the ace now. And are you looking for the ace or are you looking for the hatch in this situation?
I mean, it's going to be a little bit of both here, right? We do see that you've located
Oh,
scratch marks at
we found
least.
the scratch
So
marks.
now you're just going to try and keep a little bit of a zone if you can, because you don't want the survivor to get behind you to wherever the hatch might be at this point.
Exactly. And we can see we're choosing to actually deny this survivor the hatch here. Very great job by this nurse. And now I need to remind you that hatch makes noise in a 45-degree radius. So you can hear, especially with this nurse is going to be able to find this hatch very, very quickly. This ace honestly needs to essentially beeline it straight too. But we did see the scratch marks, so we do see where ace is. But so I got to believe that Verkon's trying to use his ears more than he is actually going for this ace here, trying to desperately find this hatch before the survivor does to secure this 4K for his team.
Yeah, we can even see now the ace across the way here. However, this is an area that Vercon has already been through. However, that means that now Ace has quite a bit of distance to cover to get to a part of the map that Vercon hasn't been to. So now you've secured yourself one health state. Now going here towards the 4 lane, knowing that there's nowhere back here. At this point, it's not a matter of if, it looks like it's just a matter of when.
No, absolutely. And the best thing that this ace can do is just desperately try to make this nurse go, try to make this nurse miss. And he actually succeeds right there, succeeds a little bit. So we got another fatigue status that this nurse has to compensate for. This ace is doing a really good job of staying out of that blank lunge range of this nurse as well. Very, very, very good looping by this the ace here as he's desperately trying to find this hatch and get away from our killer. And so far seeming unsuccessful. However, he seems a little slippery. He's got an ace in the hole here.
Yeah, I like that. I like it. And you know what though? I have to guess, and this is a total guess, obviously, because we haven't seen it. I think from the direction we're looking now, it's up in that top left corner from where we're looking. And right now, you see that Ace has built a little bit of distance. If they can maybe force one more miss, as long as they can keep going that way at least. Ooh, Ace has the distance here. If they can just have one more miss blink, Ace might find this hatch.
Ace might actually get this. It seems like Vercon might actually be making the only mistake with Nurse. And oh, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Gives him a head shake to let him know he does win. Doesn't matter. Finally connects with one of those blinks. And we're actually going to see where...
Oh, no. It's right there, bro.
Adding insult to injury. Ace, you're dead. Thank you for playing. It was a good match. Great job at the end there, making that nurse really miss a lot of blinks. Like, this nurse did not make very many mistakes until the end chase with that ace. But slamming that hatch down just to let him know you're dead. Very, very, very good job by this killer. Absolute. And for those of y'all that are curious, this is how you play Nurse. This was absolute fantastic demonstration on what this killer is all about, what this killer can do.
Agreed. I'm not sure what resolution y'all are watching this in chat, but that does indeed look like a 4K to me. A really, really strong performance there by Vercon coming out with the 4K. And I really liked there at the end. Did a very strong job, you know, of zoning the survivor into the part of the map that he had already scouted while being able to basically keep the hatch behind him, right? Because had he not, I think Ace might have actually been able to escape. We already saw it was almost there.
Oh yeah, he was almost there, and you know, it was one of those situations of like this last blink is make or break, because if Vercon would have missed that blink, you know, obviously at that point in that range you can hear exactly where that hatch is. You know, you just make a beeline for it. So we might have seen a closer down towards the hatch, we might not have, but definitely great job to that ace being able to capitalize on that mistake. And as you said, that nurse with the map pressure was in control of that match from the very start of that match. Very confident, very, very, very well trained, very well practiced, very well versed in the nurse. So very, very good job by that nurse.
Yeah, definitely. And you gotta love when, especially when you get the early down. We saw not only did you get the early down, but when you get the early down in the middle of the corrupt side of the map, like we saw there, what happened, and then the save comes in, and instead of just simply doing the 1-for-1, you leave the slug and secure yourself a second hook already, I think before the first gen had popped, and that just allowed Vercon to be able to put the pedal to the metal from there through the rest of the trial.
Absolutely, and we do have the score totals coming in. If we could have those repeated to us one more time, please. I do believe we have a 20-34, I believe was what I was told.
That sounds about right. We'll get
That sounds about 36 to 20, excuse me.
36 to 20, and that would be in favor of Corrupt after having the almost perfect game there. We had a couple of progressions that did take away some points there. However, definitely a very, very strong game that we saw from Vercon, now putting themselves in a very good position. Let me write this down in case I have to remember. What was that score again?
It was 36 to 20.
36 to 20, so a 16-point lead.
16 points.
Keep in mind, we were down by 5 heading into this, and this is where we're at the home. This is where home field kind of kicks in for you if you're Corrupt, because if we can build this up to a 31-point lead over the course of trial number 3, then your survivors don't even have to step out onto the field for game number 4. But while we have a second here, I don't want to cut you off, but let's talk about the map in case we had anybody not catch it the first time we were in here. We are on Blood Lodge, okay? It's an Auto Haven's record map, 168 square tiles, 10,752 square meters. I know a lot of you guys I have no idea what that means. Basically what that means is you are going to see a minimum of 8 hooks, a maximum of 13 hooks. So it is a little bit bigger of a map than we are typically used to seeing, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is one of the biggest maps that Dead by Daylight offers. And excuse me, coffee went down the wrong pipe. My apologies. We do actually, I'm being told actually, you and I both missed this, you know, it's kind of a bad thing, but big shout out to Ari the Assassin for the tier 1 subscription to Vigo Score. Thank you and welcome.
Listen, no, I didn't miss it. I just wasn't going to shout out Ari while I'm broadcasting. No,
okay.
I'm just kidding. I love you, Ari.
Okay. All right.
Listen,
well,
she gives me a hard time every day, so if I can't give her a hard time at least once a day, all right? It's the whole streamer mod relationship. I'm sure you can appreciate that, right, Stoney?
Oh, I can absolutely appreciate it. That's why I didn't bring mine here. Absolutely. But once again, we do got to give a huge shout out to Vercon because they showed exactly what a nurse can do and put the pressure right back exactly where you needed it. And as you said, you know, where we're sitting right now, so long as this next killer that you know, Team Corrupt does bring out to the table, so long as they perform well, quite honestly, the survivor team's got the rest of the night off. You know, they only need to come out and secure a couple gens. Don't even really need to worry about escapes. So the pressure is on with Immortal Alliance's survivors. They absolutely have to capitalize on this, and they have to do a banging job. They have to absolutely make sure that no one dies and that, you know, only 1 or 2 people actually do get on first or second hook.
So, do you feel, knowing that Corrupt right now has a 16-point lead, you know, and knowing that Vercon feels confident in his very diverse killer pool, do you feel that this is where, again, knowing this is preseason, right? If this was a regular season, definitely want to like go full throttle, but knowing this is your last week heading into preseason, now you've got a lead. Is this where you bring in maybe one of your more like B tier killers, bring in something like a Huntress or something like that? Or do you think we just see like a Blight come out?
Quite honestly, I'm hoping for something that's not S tier.
Okay.
You know, I think a lot of obviously you want to bring in and put your best foot forward. But I'm quite honestly hoping, like, we've seen what your S tier killers can do.
Right.
Show me what you can do as a killer. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, when you're walking into a tournament setting, you know, again, like I just said, you know, you want to put your best foot forward. But this is where you have a little bit of leeway. Now, you don't need to let up on the gas, but you don't exactly got to go 75 and a 20.
Right.
So this is the part where, you know, you can take that moment because, once again, we're in the preseason and, you know, we're in the preliminaries and So this is where, switch it up a little bit. Show me the skill that you have on your team as your killers. Bring someone that's not an automatic S tier and it's
Right.
well, it was a blight on this map, so obviously,
Yeah.
bring us something that we're not expecting. That's honestly what I'm really hoping out of this round. Like, we've seen what your S tier killers can do. Very, very skilled, very, very, very objective focused, can control a match. Do it on somebody that's not an S tier killer. So if that team can hear me, that's my official challenge to you. That's what your caster wants to see.
So then if you had to pick a killer, now obviously like we aren't going to say, hey, come out with Mikey, because we don't want to see you get dusted against a comp team.
No, absolutely not.
But what would be one of the like killers you would like to see come out here?
Well, I'll go through it. A-list, I would like to see Huntress, because in my personal opinion, Huntress is an A-list killer. She's right underneath the S tier, especially with this big of a map. You talk about map control. I can hurt you from anywhere across the map whatsoever. Doctor, just simply for area denial. Would love to actually see someone enter a tournament with a Trapper just to see what they could do with it, because once again, Trapper does have that territory deny. Now, mind you, you're setting up more for the 3-gen situation, but that's just essentially saying, I play this better. Essentially, that would be a huge statement from this team. Now, I would say for this map, an Oni would be perfect, because Oni can tear through all of those pallets, make them completely irrelevant, and at that point you're making survivors get off of the gen. So if you're bringing in Ruin, you're immediately getting value out of that, because they have to heal to deny your power. So an Oni, personally, and again, being able to move across the map. Now, mind you, he doesn't start with his power, he's got to earn it, but a good Oni player, and you and I played enough DBD, you can definitely tell you, a good Oni player on this map can destroy and decimate all. Another one that I would absolutely love to see would honestly be a Wraith, simply because Wraith can just bing, 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 and he's very much of a hit him and leave him, hit him and leave him, hit him and leave him, hit him and leave him. With his recent update, well, not so recent, but with his update, I would definitely put him as an A tier killer, definitely with his ability in the 1v1. Now, he doesn't have a lot of map pressure, but in the ability of the 1v1, get hooks, get downs, get pressure as fast as possible, Wraith honestly might be the guy. It would be cool to see.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd happen to notice while we were slid into that killer role, but if I had to say who I wanted to see, it would definitely be the Vami Mommy. I've been having a lot of fun kind of seeing how competitive teams have gotten used to her changes. We've seen a lot kind of come out with this most recent update here, right? We did also see we seen him come out, or we saw her come out quite a bit during the DBE 5K tournament. However, if I had to think, if I'm in Burkon's shoes, right, and I wanted to come out in week 2 of the preseason and tell people, you know what, Corrupt, we're here to play, and whenever you see Corrupt on your schedule, y'all better make sure you know exactly what y'all are coming for and what I'm going to do as the killer. So I think we're going to see him actually do the double S tier, and we're going to probably see a Blight here, because his Blight's pretty disgusting.
More than, really, truly, and honestly, as much as I say, I'd love to see somebody that's not an S tier killer. Honestly, you can't fault him for bringing in a Blight, because you know what it is. You know what it is, and you know what it ain't. You know what I mean? Like, you know exactly that a Blight's going to do very well on this map. He's going to be able to traverse it. He's going to be able to destroy pallets with his power and immediately get his power back. He's going to be able. Now, the problem is at the center of this map is a lot of cars that are shaped like mini LTs, and a lot of things to bump into with the Blight. So if you're going to bring a Blight, you need to make sure that you're getting a Blight that, once again, isn't just sticking with the 1v1s, but is sticking with more of the area denial, more map pressure, being able to finish chases quickly. Now, mind you, once again, Blight is insanely good in the 1v1, but we're going to find out here in just a couple seconds what this team actually decided to go with.
Yeah, while we're moving in here, let's talk about our ban rules real quick. We have yellow add-ons, yellow items and add-ons only. One of each perk besides borrowed time is the only thing that you're allowed to have as borrowed time. You can have 2 of. Your ban perks themselves that you are going to have. You have no haunted grounds, no prove thyself, no starstruck. Killers are limited, used during the regular season, twice during the season. Of course, it is preseason, but they can't be used twice during the same match. Survivors are limited, as in you can only have one of each character. If there are any sort of violations or anything, the penalties, kind of like we saw earlier, they're subjected to a potential restart. But we are already into the game here. If you need any clarification on those rules, exclamation point rules in chat, don't ask me because I ain't your mama.
And here we see an immediate hit as you pan in from a blight to an ace, and we are off to the races already and just immediately starting out. Now we do have some corrupt intervention. We didn't pan in fast enough to see if this ace got off of the gen, so we don't know whether or not Ruin's there. But this ace got robbed on that pallet. Couldn't even drop it down before the shillelagh hit him in the back, making him eat some dirt. And there was a Nia, very, very courageous move by walking through that pallet. Dear Lord, that took some courage because you could immediately lose all of the pressure that you have. And we are off once again. And instead of going for the Nia, it looks like we're actually going to the other side, and we do manage to get a hit onto the Claudette, who's going to a corrupted gen. So back to the hook that we're going to go. This is a very, very smart move by this Blight here.
Yeah, and one thing that we can talk about now that we've had a couple of health states that have changed and our survivors now know about it, and we had actually talked about it being a really good combo, or being a really good way to add some extra pressure that's not with the Ruin that got broken across the way, but now Thananophobia being in play here. So for every injured state, you're going to see a 5% slowdown of progress towards those gens. So going to be really good with a Blight who can put multiple people through some injured states relatively quickly.
Very, very smart play with the Thanat because you're making them immediately have to get off of the gen. It's not so much the fact that you're getting the regression progress from Thanat. Thanat works in a way where, yes, if they stay on the objective, they're going to be slowed down up to the maximum total of 20% for 4 survivors hurt, etc. But really what it does is it makes survivors get off of the gen. So it's a great thing to bring with Ruin because you're guaranteeing Ruin value. And here we have a very, very fast down on the ace. We're making up for a lot of lost time here. So that's 2 hooks immediately. That's 2 back-to-backs on this ace, and we have yet to see a gen pop at all. So let's see where we can go from here. We're trying to break it with the power, and we actually do manage to. Good job.
Yeah, and one thing you'll see here, we've been able to use the middle gen, which is kind of nice because you can kind of get an idea of where everyone's at, or at least an idea because you know where you're getting survivors coming from for the save, and knowing that ideally your survivors are split up on gens. If your survivors are coming from one direction, you probably have people working on gens in the opposite. We do see generator number 1 coming in, but that's only at the cost of 2 hooks. So definitely want to make sure that we are protecting Jolly Dude, as that would be a elimination at the next hook there.
Oh, definitely. And then my heart goes out to that Blight because he had that Nia, but unfortunately he got blighted and missed the second hook. But the first hit that he got on that Nia was extremely impressive, just bashing straight into the pallet, leaving that survivor completely guessing, and he won out top. So that first hit, definite big props for this Blight play. Very, very, very well-versed killer, able to go to a nurse to a Blight, and he seems to be having a little bit more issues with the Blight than he had with the nurse, definitely, as we do have more gens down for less hooks. And we're right back onto the Meg, and we're working the obsession. All of these killers are going after their obsession quickly, and Meg does not be able to get down that pallet, saving herself, and doesn't even get the pallet stun whatsoever, and we're back onto the hook. And that is going to be a first hook state, getting some more points onto the board. So he's got to do a really great job. At this point, which gen do you go to, Q? Because you've spent a lot of time over on the other side of the map.
Yeah, I like his choice here, though. We're going to the opposite side, like you were talking about. We spent a lot of time in that other quadrant here. And now with the kick, we did see a lot of regression as well as the orange sparks. So Vercon here, after losing the Ruin, will still be able to earn some gen regression with every hook by getting that Pop Goes the Weasel.
Very, very, very smart play to bring Pop Goes a Weasel whenever you're running Ruin, absolutely, because if the survivors actually do rally together and get that Ruin down, you need to be having yourself a backup. And Blight's one of those killers that can get people on a hook so fast, so quickly.
Huh?
Oh, I thought he had that, to be honest. I thought that survivor was in that locker as well. Go for it, buddy. And, he's one of those killers that can get survivors down, get on the hook, and get that pop value constantly. So, a very smart play by bringing that Pop Goes a Weasel. And it looks like we're having a little bit of a problem finding this next survivor here. We do lose a gen with not a lot to show for it. We're stuck at a 3 hook situation for 3 gens. So, right now, I guess technically that's a tied game.
Yeah, the other thing too to keep in mind, you'll notice that that gen that got done broke up that little bit of a 3 gen that you could have considered on the bottom side there. Of course, with Blight running the double speed add-ons, like we see the Blighted Rat, the Blighted Crow, most of the map can be a 3 gen with the
Big.
right type of play. We're seeing Vercom breaking out some very, very confident charges there and able to get the down. And now going into the basement, this might be where you can turn the game around, but it is only the second hook, so we have a little bit of hang time. Could be possibly seeing a 4th gen getting done shortly.
Oh, absolutely. But you got to remember, in the basement, we trust. So, you got to be able to keep up with it and absolutely deny that. And he keeps going back over to this gen particular. So you got to wonder whether or not they're focusing on it. And it seems like every time that he goes over here, another gen pops. And that is the last generator that we needed. We got another damage state. And just this Survivor team did exactly what they needed to do. They are not stepping off the gas whatsoever. Big, big, big shout out to Immortal Alliance for getting in, sticking it right back to him and saying, hey, that nurse game was good. Your Blight game's not going to be. It was very, very good. But as we all know, the match isn't over yet. Oh, that. Get behaviored, son. He just got robbed.
Yeah,
but
definitely
it doesn't
tough.
matter. It still goes down.
Yeah, you hate to see it because that probably could have been a down. Now, you are able to secure the down after just a couple of seconds, and that is a fresh hook, meaning that you would at least secure yourself some extra progressions if our survivors decide to leave now. And you would have to imagine now checking this door here at the side building, knowing that they're probably on the far door. Wouldn't be surprised to see our door opening, because the last thing you want to do is give a Blight any extra hook states, because you've already done a good job of, at this point, making sure that they're only going to end with the 7 with a couple of progressions. So definitely a very good performance by our survivors here.
Oh, absolutely. They came out, they showed out and said, hey, we're not done yet. And they definitely came out to show, they're still in this competition. So at this point, way to really come out and show out and, say you're down and out, you're down, but you're not out. So very, very good job. Very, very good job. It was a hard Blight match, but he had some of those curves and some of those flicks. They were just good.
Yeah, and keep in mind, one thing I wanted to point out here in the bottom, that when we lost that Survivor, that was that Iron Will Lucky Break combo coming in really, really clutch for our Survivor there.
Definitely. So I'm getting told that the score that we have right now is 37 to 26.
37 to 26, meaning that should be in favor of Corrupt, if I am not mistaken.
Yes.
So definitely a good performance there. Now putting things into favor where now we might be able to see Immortal Alliance's killer come out and bring this one home for the team, surmount this comeback here.
Oh yeah, the comeback will definitely be real. It's a very, 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 very high intensity competition that we do have from these two teams. GG, well played to everybody that's involved. But the one thing that it breaks your heart when you see a survivor vault a pallet and your weapon just goes right through. Yeah, that's so demoralizing in that point where it's just you're doing everything right, but you're not able to actually get the job done in that moment. So hugs and condolences for that, because that's just sad about it, man. Sad about it, because I thought he had it, but still he stuck with it, and then he still got the down there and was able to manage to kill. So very good job for this Blight. Blight is not an easy killer whatsoever. So this Vercon came out with 2 of the harder killers of this game and did a very, very good job of securing some points for his team. But now we're in that position where the comeback, the Rocky story, could be coming true here.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny now. I'm seeing some conversations in our chat between our teams here. He was wondering why he lost the Claudette. We had pointed out there in the end game lobby that combination of the Iron Will and Lucky Break allowed that to happen. So gotta love when you see sometimes you plan out for something like that to happen and you get no value, right? It's like bringing in Deliverance and then being the first person down, right? Sometimes you bring in Lucky Break, and after you get hit, you can't lose line of sight, so it doesn't even freaking matter, right? So.
Yep. And it's very smart play, very, very smart play. And sometimes you like you said, you bring in a perk and it just doesn't matter. There was a point in time where you used to swear by autodidact and never get a skill check. So I know you'd speak for definitely about.
It's still one of the most underrated perks in the game. I don't know what you're talking
about. All right. Well, that was a really, really good performance by those past 2 teams. Very, very well done job. I'm sorry, I can't get past that.
I mean, you get huge value. I mean,
I'm sorry, I'm breaking up the show here. But,
we won't ever see it in the
oh,
comp scene though. So it does look
thank,
like
thank
we've
every power of these.
oh, I didn't
Switch.
why are they joining back on me? Hold on here. I need to be because I can't be the party leader. I'm just gonna back out here. How about that? We're gonna go to the main lobby and wait till we get an invite here. But so we're heading into trial 4, and this is gonna be this is interesting, right? Because we saw this Survivor team basically play trial number 1 to a draw, right? Before the penalty. And then, you know, Vercon was able to build a little bit of a good little bit of a lead in trial 2. You start getting the comeback in trial. You start getting the comeback in trial number 3, and now, you know, you got to feel like the survivors have kind of are going to be in their killer's ear a little bit, like, hey, you know what? This is you got this. Bring this home. But you want to make sure you're not like overhyping him too much. You want to make sure he's still staying in like cool, calm, and collect lock-in mode, right?
Oh, absolutely. And my apologies, guys. I misheard the score. It's actually 49-37, so my apologies. But you definitely, you know, you got to lock in. You got to hype yourself up. But, you know, rather than, you know, hey, you're the man. You got this, da-da-da. You know, we're going to go in here and super, super confident. You need to stay focused. This is where a lot of teams make a break. This is where, you know, it's who's going to push you past this finish line here. You know, are we going to see, you know, you've had the time now to kind of, you know, you go out, you secure some points, and then you put all the pressure on your one player to go out and get you this lead that you now have established. But then you see those survivors come back and have that kind of match. So the pressure really is on to the Survivor team. They can't just walk in here and be willy-nilly, get a couple gens done, and then we all get to go home. They definitely do have to come out with their A game. So this isn't the time for really patting yourself on the back yet. It's definitely the time for zero in. This is focus hour. This is what we are here for, and this is what it's all about. And to be honest with you, after the second match there, we didn't think that we would even see a fourth match. So it's really great to see, and really hoping that these survivors and this killer here, you know, personally, you know, I'm hoping that this killer here gets himself a little bit of a 4K, because, you know, go Alliance. But, you know,
yeah, well, it's definitely going to be an uphill battle, right? We're talking about a 12-point difference right now. And keep in mind, you know, we saw in trial number 1, when they played into the draw, the 14-14, that was a 2-kill at 7 stages. 2 of those were progressions. So knowing that you're at a 12-point deficit, that does mean that the killer is going to, I don't know exactly where it is because our math's a little bit different here, but you're talking about 4K, and I think it's at, I want to say like only 2 or 3 gens done. So definitely feeling some pressure here. But
absolutely,
you know, the good news is if you're the survivors, knowing that actually all you have to do is gen. So you can, the first couple chases here, you have the ability, if you can go around and find every pallet and throw it down, and all the pallets are out of the way, you've probably got 4 gens done by that point. You know what I mean?
No, well, what we're being told now is, you know, we can get a 4K with all gens down and actually still come out on top. So he just simply has to focus in on just getting the 4K. They can indeed get all of the gens done. You know, I know we're having some back and forth. I'm getting told these while we're in conversation with the points. But so, you know, really you just have to come out and you have to slap. Now, my thing is we've already seen the Blight. We've seen the nurse, and then we've seen another Blight. Is this where we see another nurse, or are we going to see a little bit of a mix-up here? Are we going to see another nurse? Because after you know, the demonstration on how a nurse plays, it would be kind of interesting to see what Alliance is going to be able to bring to the table here, because you have to bring out there's really no choice in this situation. You have to go with your best foot.
Yeah, because they did bring out the Blight in trial number 1, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I would imagine here, because knowing that you have to play really aggressive, I don't know if there's an option besides nurse here, unless you're like, I don't know, an Oni main and you feel, you know, a main of some other killer. But otherwise, I definitely feel like you're probably going to be looking at a nurse coming out here. Now, I do see our survivors reading up here, so we're going to go ahead and switch on over into our spectator role. Again, keep in mind, we're looking at a 49-37, so it is going to all come down to this 4th and final trial. And this is what you love to see, right? You love to see when it comes down to like the late part of the 4th trial until you know what the scores, the final outcome's going to be.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's when that pressure is on that you gotta see, are the five contestants in this tournament, and are they able to perform while they're under this stress and while they're under this amount of we're relying on you. This is the match. This quite literally is the Rocky versus Ali, the Tyson versus the Ali. Who's gonna go down here? Who's actually gonna be holding their hands up at the end of the belt? But as far as your killer selection, like you said, you really truly are limited. Not so much by those points, but more so the size of the map, because we've seen, personally, I've seen a Ghostface absolutely decimate on this, but unfortunately, in this kind of situations, when the gens are flying fast, you're very, very limited on what you're going to be able to do here. So this killer, hopefully, is a nurse main, hopefully.
Yeah, so while we're loading in, we saw the penalty earlier, and let's just kind of discuss as far as penalty rules for Vigo's court so everyone knows, as far as with matches with penalties and kind of what that entails here at Vigo's, okay? If you happen to have a penalty like we saw in trial number 1, those trials can still be played out. They can be restarted, or it could be both. Now, what can cause some of that is if you have 2 of the same survivor, you have banned perks, you have banned add-ons, banned items. All of those are going to result in a -5 points and a possible restart. If the killer happens to bring the wrong map, -5 points. Harassing the ref or any other staff or anything like that, we don't play them games. That's going to be a -10 points. If you're using killers that have already been used, -10 points. Delay of game is -1 point. And if you happen to have any other questions, keep in mind, I am not your mama. Use exclamation point rules in chat. But, oh, I pressed the wrong button here. Let's go ahead and get right on into our game here. Loading in, and it looks like,
we have a plague! We have a plague! Your wish has been granted, sir. Immediately getting Vercon sick, and I'm so surprised by this, to be honest. And are we going for our corrupt pool? No, we're just going to be infecting, trying to get everybody broken. And is that... what perk are we using?
So we had a Hex Totem broken, so we are getting the auras there from, I guess we have a Retribution. I don't know if that was what was broken second there, because we did have 2 totems that were broken, and we are seeing those auras. It looks like Techno Badger was kind of hoping to get some help, but I don't think they were hoping to get 2 Hex Totems broken back to back like that.
Very interesting play with going with a plague here. He's got to play. He has to absolutely make sure that when he does strike, this person is broken, and if not, he's got to ride him. Absolutely, you have to, and it's going to sound gross, but you have to be constantly regurgitating on these survivors. You got to get to that broken status as fast as possible. And we do see one down here going to get the first hook, so some points on the board immediately. But this is a very risky move with Plague, because Plague is not the best in the loop. She does have that medium to long range, and we do see 1 hook, 1 gen. We still have a totem up, so I think you're definitely right on that Hex Retribution. But it's a matter of what are we using, and not there in time to stop the Dave from breaking that gen there, or totem words.
Yeah, and what's really tough here is keep in mind, when we look around, there's corrupt intervention up, and we have now had 3 different Hex Totems broken, meaning once our corrupt is up, which is now at this point now up, we have a perkless plague here.
Absolutely. Big risk, and good dead hard there for distance. This Dave is just going to keep this plague here, and wow, what a great play. Very very close. Now, good job for this plague for not getting stunned here, and it looks like David's going to go down regardless, but David did such a great job. Great job with delaying that plague, keeping her in the loop, which, as I said before, Plague's she's a little lacking when it comes to those loops, because your instinct is to use your power once you do have that souped up power and be able to do a damage stage. Now we're leaving the David on the ground, which is kind of a risky play here. I think we're just trying to 4K slug here. I think we're trying to get a 4-man on the ground and then be able to get everybody down on some hooks. So very interesting plays.
Yeah, and this is kind of where your hand's forced a little bit, because we have seen our survivors opting for the cleanse instead of don't cleanse sort of strategy, which we see teams have to kind of opt for one or the other against the plague. So you do have the ability to run around right now and pick up a lot of these corrupt purges and keep that pressure going, especially because we see, Vercon was sick. Now it looks like Brave must have been the one that picked Vercon off of the ground, because now Brave is sick as well and might be getting closer to becoming broken.
Great shot over the hill, getting a damage state on that Nia. Unfortunately, coming up short due to balance landing, but absolute great job immediately being able to snowball with this killer, which this killer is very, very capable of doing. This killer is very good in the 1v1, being able to get some damage states, being able to put people out on their back, and continuing the line of red vomit and spreading the damage. Vercon here looks to be a little bit in trouble, and you got to wonder, are they going to hook? Good dead hard to get the distance.
Nope.
And nope. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. Very good read. Very, very good read.
Yeah, unfortunately, after using the dead hard to get to the distance, yeah, you were playing at the window, but keep in mind, especially on Auto Haven, the TL walls, they aren't extended like you sometimes see like on a Yamaoka stage, right? That T portion is very, very small, so it's able to play the guessing game and get the hit through the window there as well, and that's going to be a third hook here. And this is a very strong showing from Plague. Normally what we're seeing is, you know, getting our second or third hook on a Plague as the fourth or fifth gen is getting done, and we're only looking at one gen so far.
Oh yeah, this is absolutely a dominating performance, and as you mentioned before, this more than likely is a perkless killer. So they're doing a really great job of not so much. That had to be a dead hard.
No, if I had to guess, yeah. Oh, did he miss? I wonder if I thought he was forcing the pick, and I thought he was going for the decisive. I wonder if he missed that.
I don't know. I don't know. There was a lot of questionable things that just happened at that window, but David's back on the hook, baby. And we're spreading out now. Now, the one thing that we're seeing from this Plague is while we are throwing up on some gens, we're not really spreading out to other sides of the map. And that's due to a lot of altruism from this team here. So they're spreading this infection. They're spreading the disease, and a lot. Everybody that's broken is eventually winding down. So this is a very, very strong performance by this killer, by this Plague, doing a great job of making sure. What are we at? 4 hooks now for 2 gens, doing an absolute good job of making these survivors play the way that they want to, which is feed me that broken status so I can put you on a hook faster. Absolute wonderful job so far by this Plague.
Yeah, and you talked about it. We have 4 hook states so far. You have a player on the ground, which means since you're in chase with the Kate, now the Michaela has to get off the gen. So right now you have 0 objective work getting done while you yourself as the killer are doing your objective, right? Which is accruing the health in the hook states here, and Techno Badger really putting on the pressure.
And we do have a call that camaraderie is in play here, so we do have a little bit of some help here when it comes to protecting our friends off of the hooks. But here we see Nia finally getting off, and it's almost a trade situation. Nia goes on the hook, David gets off, and no longer broken, as we know from getting hooked by a Plague. When you get off, you're not broken anymore, so we just immediately got to put some more pressure on. But this team's doing a very strange thing, which is cleansing. So they're essentially giving this killer her medium to short range, just heavy attack, essentially just being able to. And there we see her again swooping up. She's had more time using her corrupted purge more than her vile purge, so when it's very, very smart with this Plague being able to, and we're gonna see if she has pop here. Does not. So once again, you know, I'm almost kind of really with your suspicions here that we might just have a perkless killer, and prioritizing very well. And I do want to say this Plague did a very great job of dropping that Kate, as we stated before.
Ooh,
you know, has
gen.
a little bit of a hard time. 2 simultaneous gen pops while trying to get this David, who has a huge lead, and Shaq Pallet is still up. This team did a really good job. There goes Shaq Pallet. Great job avoiding that purge there. And if I'm this killer, you got to drop this chase. You got to go get somebody else. Refreshes up on the bio, and we're once again off to the races. You got to go for somebody that you know full well that you can get down. Now, this is where Plague starts to suffer. Does a moonwalk, does a really good job of holding down. But once again, this is where you can take Plague out of the game, and that's in the loops.
Yeah, and we do see now a 5th gen getting done across the way. And of course, having brought in 3 Hex Totems as well as the Corrupt Intervention means that there is no Noed in play here. So Techno Badger definitely feeling the pressure here in the end game, knowing that we do have 3 survivors that are 1 health state away from being down on the ground, and you still have a good third of your Corrupt Purge here.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, and I've given this Plague a lot of praise for how she's been playing. Unfortunately, this Plague here just not capitalizing. And it almost seems as if Plague is cursed, because once you get that super amped vomit capability and you're able to get your ranged attack, you completely forget that you have an M1. And so your mindset changes and you try to get that spray as fast as possible. And you got to remember, she slows down when she's charging, but Plague is very quick. If you're able to just tap your M2 right fast, you're actually able to get out of spray. You don't have to hold it. And unfortunately, not enough Plague players know that. And so here we see, just with the rainbow of just trying to cause a damage state on the way out the door, gonna look like we're actually not gonna get a kill here. But very great job with this Plague. But the survivor is able to pull away with a victory at the end.
Yeah, definitely a tough one. And we will indeed talking about that camaraderie, also known as kinship here, now that we've got the DLC getting ready to leave the actual store. I actually needed to wait till the end game because I wasn't sure what the new name for that was. But yeah, that was the what used to be camaraderie, now kinship, coming into play there. So we saw a very, very strong performance, honestly, by both sides. I think the Plague there would have probably gotten more stages had they not needed to like shut it down and need to get the 4K in order to win. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And we have a grand total of 73 to 47 for the scoreboard in favor of Corrupt. So very well done. Very, very high scoring rounds. Absolute great job by that Survivor team, being able to spread it, being able, and I was actually very surprised, because usually when you see survivors doing cleansing and giving that killer more of an opportunity to have a mid-range attack and do more than just a status effect, but be able to put you on the dirt, I think honestly the map size just really kind of put you in a position where Plague was just not a good, wise decision. But very well played, very valiant effort. It almost looked as if you had it, and unfortunately, they were able to get the play. Really unfortunate. It seems as if unfortunate spawning for your totems, because the totems, like, we had retribution value almost instantaneously.
Yeah, and you got the retribution back to back too, and that was, so even the third totem that was cleansed there was the retribution, because we saw after the first two totems that there was no more ruin left. So there was an undying or something. Well, we saw it was the undying and then the ruin, and really the third totem didn't even need to be broken. But you're running by him early game. At that point, there hadn't been a hook state or anything, so why not break it? Especially knowing that you don't have to worry about haunted ground. Right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So at that point, you fall into the old pattern of, if it glows, it goes, and really, my heart goes out. We spent a lot of time on Plague, and my heart goes out to it, because that is just such a huge map with Plague, and it's one of those situations where you don't even really do a lot wrong, but because of the size of the map, and unfortunately the limitation of when she charges her power, she does slow down, and her spray pattern becomes a little bit it's very hard to manage, especially as we saw that David was very able to avoid that spray coming around the corner mid loop, and that's where Plague really, really suffers. She's a very strong killer, don't get me wrong. I don't want to talk bad about the killer whatsoever, and especially the player did a very, very fantastic job, but unfortunately just not able to apply enough map pressure.
Yeah, and again though, I can't help but wonder, if this wasn't preseason, do we see the Plague come out there, right?
If it wasn't preseason and then we weren't sitting here screaming the entire time, can we see something other than S tier? I think possibly we wouldn't have seen a Plague there. But honestly, you got to give it up to them, because they took a risk, because Plague is not considered to be one of the strongest killers, isn't considered to be S tier, etc. So, you almost got to bring them up. It's a big, shout out to them for taking a risk and actually going with a killer that, spiced it up a little bit.
And remind me, it was 72, right?
Yes.
To 47? Is that right?
73 to 47.
73 to 47. Sorry, chat. Normally the scoreboard works.
73 to 47 was the final score. So once again, good job to Corrupt. GG's, well played to all.
Yeah, definitely going to make sure before I forget that we do indeed convict Corrupt of murder. Very good game. But also want to make a good shout out to Immortal Alliance too, because you mentioned it. A tough game to go in with a Plague, but it was a very respectable trial as a Plague for the competitive scene.
Oh, absolutely. Like, and again, I want to emphasize that killer did not make a lot of mistakes. It just
Mhm.
seemed as if the totem spawn kind of bit that killer more than really anything, because it was a very, very impressive showing for a plague. I was quite surprised, honestly, with how fast we were able to snowball once we got a hook. And that's exactly what you needed. It's just the problem was the size of the map and being able to revert that, because you got to remember, once you're in that broken state and you do have a damage state, if you cleanse, you're full healed. So unfortunate with the point of you were winning your 1v1s, but as soon as it got to the situation where you're winning over here, but over here they're doing things, that's where Plague is weak.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but huge hats out for bringing a Plague, especially to a tournament like that. That, in my mind, you're the unsung heroes just for the spicing it up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely with the changes. I mean, I feel like we've been seeing her more, but let's go ahead and move into the interrogation room. It looks like we do have a player here from Corrupt. It looks like we have our killer from those last 2 rounds. Vercon. How are you doing tonight, buddy?
Well, pretty nervous actually.
Yeah?
Not
Why
gonna
is
lie to
that?
you. I have bad nerves issues, so I tend to have some serious nerve issues going on with matches.
Well, we definitely saw some strong performances from you today. Was the idea even before trial number 1 and having the penalty that puts you guys a little behind the 8 ball, was the idea to come out with the 2 S-tier killers from the rip?
We kind of mixed up our builds because we were going over it, and we didn't double check it before the game started. So as soon as the game started, I was like, wait, am I the one that has Dead Hard? No, I have Dead Hard too.
Right.
Shit.
Right.
Right.
So
right.
were you always planning on bringing both S-tier killers on the killer side prior to that penalty, or did that penalty kind of force your hand to want to come out with more aggressive killers?
I wanted to come out with like 1 S tier, maybe another A tier.
Yeah.
To spice it up.
Which one?
But maybe Billy, maybe.
Nice.
Maybe
nice.
Demo Pop.
Really?
I like the Billy plays.
Yeah, I think Demo would have done well on that map, especially.
Yep.
But we also took into consideration that not all these killers were going to be great getting around the map and trying to put pressure on survivors. So we already scratched off Demo and Bubba off the bat.
Now, did you feel like there was that you were a fan of your guys' Survivor game in that first time, being able to get the tie, or is that something where you kind of felt like maybe there were a couple of missed opportunities, maybe could have saved yourself a couple of hook states there?
Well, we had to get a new player, of course.
I did notice y'all had 2 new players today, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We gonna see them more often?
Well, one of them couldn't show up because they would get busy on Fridays, so we had to come, go to
Zap
the
had
corner
school, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And the other one, well, he was just MIA because of work.
Oof.
So does MIA become SOL and off the team? No, I'm just kidding. That's gonna be for you guys to figure out.
Now's not the time, Q. Now's not the time.
So, this is your guys' home field when we head into this season. This isn't like we've had a couple of games where we've had a different home field game because of some desync issues on McMillan and stuff. Do you feel like this is a map that you are going to feel very like? Do you feel like you're gonna have the upper edge with this being a little bit bigger of map, and you're going to have to play it more often than some of these other teams here?
Pretty much, and I'm gonna have to figure out other killers now.
Yeah, you're gonna have. I mean, I guess it's gonna be a tough one, right? Knowing that this is your home field. Normally, like obviously, you can only use your high mobility killers so many times, and I would imagine you probably aren't gonna want to use them all at home, right?
Probably not, but it depends on which maps we get.
Right. Stoney, do you have any other questions for Vercon here?
How many hours you got on that nurse, mate? Like how many hours do you have on that nurse?
If I tell you, don't believe me.
I'm here for you. I'm
here for it, mate. I'm here for it, mate.
Okay, now originally, I think I had roughly 2.5k hours on this.
Wow.
Because I played her since the very start. Back when she was ultimately broken, but we don't talk about that.
Right.
We don't talk about that phase. We're done with that.
And then, coming to the tournament with nerves, I got more nervous getting the blink bug in the tournament than just missing the blink entirely.
Right.
Right. Well,
Okay.
I gotta say, you literally showed exactly what that killer can do. You know, you talk about your nerves and everything, but you literally showed a great representation. If anybody ever wants to know what a nurse can actually do in a competitive setting, you personified what a nurse can do. That was a very, very impressive nurse match, and I gotta give it up to you, my guy, because I could instantly tell that you had over 1,000 hours on nurse. Like immediately, I was just, how many hours do you got? And how long of my life do I gotta spend? Like, very, very great. Good job.
Just no life, you know, the game, you know. Just make sure you don't have a job.
So, Vercon, before we get you on out of here, is there anything that you would like to say, whether it be to the fans or the people that support Corrupt, as well as just to Vigo's Court in general?
Well, two things. One, blame Zaf, the pub bot, because he's not here.
Zaf is a pub bot, confirmed.
Yeah. And two, we won't disappoint you again. I mean, we disappointed you a little bit because Zaf wasn't here, and other one that wasn't here too. But don't worry.
That's all right.
Next time.
And also,
round says we won't disappoint you. What?
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it. You know, so Vercon, I very much appreciate you for coming in. We do look forward to seeing you guys once the regular season starts, my friend. You have yourself a good weekend, all right, brother?
You too, dude.
All right, chat. Now, don't forget, this does not mean that we are done for our day over here on Vigo's Court. We will have another matchup here tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, tomorrow we will have games at 1 p.m., 3 p.m., and 6 p.m. Then I do believe, I think we're taking, I'll have to double check, but make sure we get back to you. I think we might be taking a week before we move into the actual season. Maybe not. We'll make sure we get you a final word on that probably by the end of preseason here, so we can make sure we have a finalized schedule for everybody.
We'll not be taking that next week, by the way.
We will not be taking it. You know what? Honestly, though, I love it. Let's just keep this train rolling.
Keep it going, man.
Well, you know what, man? Like, Vigo's Court was going for a while. I know there have been a lot of people who are very excited to see Vigo's Court back. You know, we've got a awesome production crew working in the back. Shout out to those guys. Shout out to our, we've been bringing on some casters like Sony Boy who've been absolutely killing it. So I appreciate you coming on board with me tonight, my friend. We are going to be rating off, though, to foul play. Like I said, make sure you're back here tonight, chatting about an hour and a half here. All right. Otherwise, though, I want to just say, as far as for myself, I am out of here. I am Judge Q, Counselor Stony Boy. You guys have yourselves a wonderful night.
Deuces.